Good afternoon. Happy Saturday to everyone. We have three replays to cast here on this Saturday afternoon. And joining me is my co-caster extraordinaire, Summer Ash. Ash, how's it going today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So first of our teams we're going to be checking out today is Division C East, Something Heroic versus Hot Boys. One of the differences between casting live and replays is we don't really get to see the draft, so we're going to kind of just jump into the game. We'll do a little bit of compositional analysis as we go. Also, they go a little bit faster because we don't have to wait for anybody. So let's just go ahead and jump right on in. Game one will be on Infernal Shrines. As a competitive player yourself, Ash, what are your thoughts when you see an Infernal Shrines matchup?
Well, my team in NGS, Infernal Shrines is a map we pick almost every game, so we play it a lot, and there's a lot of team fighting, as well as strong focus on rotations and objective clears. So you can definitely see there's a lot of strategies that can take place in this map. It's always a fun one to see.
Yeah, I think it's one of the more probably top two or three balanced maps as far as competitive go because there's a lot of different strategies teams can utilize. You know, macro, team fighting, wave clear. You can build all kinds of different comps really to try to utilize those different strategies on shrines. You know, kind of old school, you'd see teams go that double soaking Zool kind of a thing off kind of weird strategies. You don't see that as much anymore, but it is just one of those things you can show. You can do all kinds of different things on Infernal Shrines. Blue team here is going to be Hot Boys with one of the best logos in HGC. If you haven't seen it, it's Calidor looking like Mr. Clean. It's spectacular. We have Coach Zach on Tychus, Refresher on ETC, Frost Absol on Kael'thas, Rising Star on Greymane, and Roya on Stukov.
On the right side, we have something heroic: Eternity on Sonya. Is it Terra Spaz on the Johanna? Sorry. Silverhawk on Phoenix. Reykjavik on Luxio, and Malzo on Blaze.
So nothing really crazy out of these comps, both pretty straightforward, main tank, off tank, two assassins, two supports. Just kind of glancing first impressions on each of these sides' compositions.
Except on something heroic, they actually have 3 warriors with Blaze, Sonya, and Johanna.
Oh, you're correct, I missed that.
Yeah, it's not something you see a lot, and we'll see if it works out for them.
Usually, my team runs Phoenix. Ooh, sorry on that terrible observing there. A fair amount, and we have found we get the most value out of him when you are comboing some kind of massive slow with the Purifier Beam. I wonder if they're going to try to get that with the Blaze. You can get that with the Johanna too. Refresher here is just kind of stalking Eternity from the bushes, and I don't know if he showed there, and now ETC invading, then changed his mind as Blaze comes in, and out he goes.
His team wasn't really in a position to be able to follow up on any kind of invade, and something heroic was positioned all around that camp, so it would have been incredibly risky if he had stayed in.
Yeah, I mean, never a bad idea for your team's main tank to just kind of keep eyeballs on the other team if you can do it safely, no big deal.
Yeah. If his team had been there, though, it definitely could have been. It could have been their camp.
Now, opting to go on this Lucio here instead of the Phoenix, Lucio might be in trouble, and there's First Blood. Hot Boys, Stukov picking up the final blow on the Lucio.
Something else I'm noticing: Hot Boys is taking the very standard bot to mid rotation, while something heroic is leaving 1-1-2 in their lanes, and Sonya's just running around taking camps.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. And the other kind of slightly off thing is you have a Sonya and a Blaze, both of whom are really good solo laners, but they actually have Johanna in the top who's capable of it. But typically you'd want Johanna in that 4-man because she can clear and rotate so fast, maybe send that Blaze up in that top lane instead.
One thing is, for Hot Boys, they have the Tychus fighting the Johanna in the off.
Right.
Usually in this comp, like you'd maybe see Greymane up there.
Sure.
Tychus does have a substantial amount of wave clear, so he is definitely capable of doing it.
And I just realized, I introduced these comps. I was just completely wrong, and obviously my coffee hasn't kicked in. We don't have two straightforward comps at all. We actually have solo tank ETC with 3 assassins opposed by triple tank solo assassin. Yeah. So ETC is definitely going to have his work cut out for him, contesting 3 tanks on the opposition side there.
My team has played the standard like dual tank into triple tank before, and we didn't. Our biggest problem with that comp was we didn't have enough damage to burn through them. So maybe the triple assassin is actually what's needed to fight into triple tank.
Maybe so. It's funny that you said that. I just casted a game on, I believe it was Thursday, and one team ran a Cho'Gall Cho'Gall double tank support, so there was no backline assassins. It was Sonya, Muradin, Cho'Gall with the Morales, and the other team came back with a solo tank ETC triple assassin. I thought they wouldn't have enough hit points, but the flip side became true. They had so much damage in the late game that the triple tank team couldn't burn through it, so there might be something to that. So these objectives are super close, 39 to 38, and it is Hot Boys that is able to secure the first Frozen Punisher of the game. I may speak too soon. It's finally first blood, but that was a lot of trading and team fighting and posturing for only 1 death, and kind of on the back end of it too.
Yeah. Hot Boys was definitely able to zone out something heroic very well. The ETC was taking very aggressive positioning in the right bush, and they did have level 7 over on that objective.
You would think looking at these comps that ETC might struggle to zone against so many other tanks, so slightly surprising that he was so successful at it, but hats off to a Refresher for doing so.
Another more aggressive positioning from ETC, checking to see if they're going to camp, and they do find each other. Greymane's diving in, and it looks like it's going to be a simple disengage.
So on these replay casts, I tried really hard not to know what happens, and I don't know what happens in any of these 3 games that we've cast. I do, however, know these teams' records going into these weeks. All of our games that we're casting today took place either Monday or Tuesday earlier this week. So Hot Boys coming into this game, Division C West, was 1 win, 3 draws, and 2 losses. Whereas Something Heroic, a former division rival of myself back when we were both in Chair League before we made the switch over here, hasn't had a domination yet. 1 draw and 5 losses, so a little bit of a struggling season for Something Heroic, opting to pick up only their 2nd points of the season so far. In the top lane, though, it is Something Heroic that's able to rotate out and catch Tychus in the solo lane. That is the danger of having a backline assassin in the solo lane, is if they do get caught out like that, it's hard for them to escape.
And in the meantime, while Tychus was getting ganked, Hot Boys went for the invade, took their siege camp.
So Hot Boys on the verge of hitting their heroics, and they do so now. I imagine Something Heroic will probably have theirs up before this objective spawns here. Doesn't look like
plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of time. We got Cursed Bullet. For a level 86 ETC player, you'd think I would know the icons, but I don't. Mosh Pit for ETC, Flailing Swipe for Stukov, Phoenix out of the Kael'thas, Commandeer Odin out of Tychus. Nothing really surprising to me there. You can make an argument either way for ETC's heroics. Johanna just popping the Iron Skin and walking away. Any of those heroics jump out at you, or looks pretty standard?
For Hot Boys, they're all pretty standard, but on the side of something heroic, they've also just hit their 10. And Johanna took Falling Sword. Maybe that's their combo piece for Purifier Salvo.
I was just going to say the same thing. You Falling Sword and then launch Purifier Salvo. Normally my issue, I play tank on my squad. I don't know what you play on yours. My issue normally when I play Johanna with Falling Sword is I jump out of the front line. I'm not there. So you're kind of
Yeah,
exposing your back line to a short while. But with a Blaze and a Sonya, not as much of an issue.
yeah. I'm an Eklight offlane for our team, so I'm typically the one on the Blaze and the Sonya, and Blaze can do a pretty good a pretty good amount of tanking. Like he does have the CC, he has the peel, and he has a decent amount of just sustained damage and sustain in general.
There,
A fight breaking out. Phoenix coming out, the bunker being dropped. Hot Boys looks like they're on the back end, but a sick Mosh catches 2 out. Blaze goes down. Pure Cyber Salva's coming out. Rayman's down already. Lucio might be going down to the back line, but ETC is stuck in the middle of the enemy team. Tygus goes down. Here comes the Falling Sword. ETC falls, and it looks like it's a team solid win, trading 3 for 1 for something heroic.
yeah, you know, we didn't, when we were talking about the Falling Sword, the other part of that we didn't touch on is it's a less reliable interrupt for the mosh pit as well. I don't think, does it interrupt when it comes down on the mosh pit?
There is a small knockup. I think that counts as an interrupt.
Yeah, I mean, it's picked so rarely, I actually don't know. That's really something I should know too. But the Blessed Shield, of course, is just a nice, easy chuck into a stationary ETC there.
Of course, with Johanna, with the Iron Skin, you can always self-cleanse and interrupt with the W. The
Of course, yeah. Johanna's kind of a walking ETC, interrupt. So something heroic here, opting not to push with the full team, only going with 3. Sonya and Blaze doing the offlane soak here, and these 3 in full retreat. There goes the ETC on the Johanna. Iron Skid has been popped out, eats the Cursed Bullet, but able to use the Falling Sword as an escape tool there.
Something heroic is now up 13, and so we might be able to see them get more of an advantage on the map.
You know, as a caster, I really enjoy casting, well, I mean, all games, but there's something fun about the lower division games. They aren't quite as married to the meta as Blaze and ETC clash in the bushes there. They're not quite as married to the meta, and you sometimes get some pretty crazy stuff going on. But for a Division C game, only 7 deaths 10 minutes into a game is pretty low. These teams have been playing it pretty close to the chest. No one's been really going crazy or anything, and it's pretty tight.
Yeah, there's been some very good plays on both teams.
And I don't think we ever fully went over the Reds heroics. It's Wrath of the Berserker out of Sonya, Bunker out of Blaze. Excuse me, I'm still on the very back end of a cold here. We have Sound Barrier, blanked out there for Lucio, Purifier Salvo out of Silverhawk, and of course Falling Sword out of the Johanna. The teleport interrupted by ETC, and Phoenix in a world of trouble is not able to escape. Sound Barrier is popped though, and there goes the Falling Sword, catches 3. Not Tychus though, who popped Odin in the middle of it. There's a 2-man mosh pit. No interrupts there. Lucio falls to it. Blaze is able to use the bunker, but not to escape. So 3 kills. That was all started with Refresher interrupting Phoenix's teleport. No, sir, you may not get away. Well played by Hot Boys.
They're rotating up to top lane, probably looking for the Sonya, but you notice it's a lot early, like really early, and backs out safely. Looks like they are going to be pushing down, perhaps into this fort. They're not going to have enough minions to do it, though.
If I'm them, I'm targeting this well. The next objective is top. You don't worry about the fort. You come in here, you burn down this well. It gives you just that little bit more of an advantage when this next objective pops.
Yeah, definitely. So they are going to get the fort, though.
Yeah, well played by them. They just kind of waited for those minions and go ahead and take it in. So level 16, right around the corner here for Hot Boys. I don't think they're going to be able to get it before the objective pops, but not too much longer after. Both teams also going on to their bruisers. Tychus did hang out in the mid lane to get as close to 16 as they could. And they're going to hit it any moment now.
Yeah. Something Heroic knows that they can contest when Hot Boys are up 16, so it looks like they're going to take camps, soak lanes, and get that before they go contest the objective,
That's a
which is a good
really,
play by them.
yeah, that's a good decision. You just go ahead and soak mid and bot, get a little free push bot if you can, trade this out, especially with no well and no fort up here. The only drawback to that is if Hot Boys here keeps this Merc camp up and captures this Punisher fast enough, you'll actually have a Bruiser push to combine with John Cena, and that can be pretty tough to deal with.
Sonya's actually taking the mid fort, which she has plenty of room to do because of the objective. Blaze doing a good amount of zoning for it.
Yep. And the Bruisers are still up, so this is going to be John Cena plus Bruisers plus all 5 members of Hot Boys. Props to Something Heroic, though. They got basically 2 forts in that time and actually took a slight level lead out of the back side of that. This top fort will be under a lot of pressure, though.
Yeah, but with the Bruisers and an Arcane Punisher, that's a lot of pressure onto Something Heroic. They're probably not going to be able to save this keep.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall order to do that. They would need to get there's the this time instantly interrupted, and Lucio explodes, though, despite the instant interrupt on the mosh pit. There's the falling sword, catches 2. Bunker is used beautifully. 3 people get inside. ETC cannot stick around much longer. However, they wait for the bunker to expire and go on a full-out assault. Blaze unable to get away. A triple stun by John Cena. Purification Salvo does some damage, but that is a full wipe coming out of Hot Boys, and 100% game 1 will be going over to them. John Cena MVP that team fight. That triple stun was brutal.
Yeah, there was the instant, like Lucio exploded instantly after the mosh. And
Yet that half a second they caught her in there was apparently just enough time.
yeah,
So
they just had a ton of damage going into the triple front line, and they did not have enough sustain to deal with it.
and anytime you've got a solo tank with a triple backline like that, it's a lot of pressure on the tank player to balance peeling and initiating and keeping yourself alive there. And Refresher did a really nice job out of that. He hit a couple of big time mosh pits as well. Also catching that Phoenix out mid lane and interrupting his escape. So really nice play out of Refresher on that ETC.
Yeah, and on the other side, like they did have the falling sword, purifier salvo, but they never really had this space where they could line it up.
Yeah, I
Like
don't.
it seemed like a lot of their damage was going to be put into that combo, and it never really lined up for them.
No, and Phoenix had 24k damage. If you want to use any hero as a solo carry like that, it needs to have more damage than that in that game. It was actually third in the whole game in damage with behind Tychus and Kael'thas on Hot Boys there, so they just kind of weren't able to leverage Phoenix into the damage that they needed. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into this game 2 here because it is a replay cast, so we can do that. And game 2 will be on Dragonshire. Dragonshire definitely a little bit different than Infernal Shrines.
Infernal Shrines is a lot of like the rotating is the same on Dragonshire, but the objective on Dragonshire requires a lot of like efficient splitting, and I don't know, it's a lot different in the way that you have to play it.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about Shrines is if you get two... what in the world just happened? We started to watch it, and then we got bounced for some reason. And now it won't let me. I think I'm going to restart my client here real quick. One of the interesting things about Dragonshire is when you have 2 evenly matched teams that are both playing well, you can go a significant portion of the game without either team ever getting the objective.
I've seen plenty of Dragonshire games go, and then only say 2 Dragon Knights ever get captured.
Yep, for sure. And the early ones aren't too terribly powerful, but man, the late game ones are absolute monsters. Well, weird little client bug or something there. That was bizarre. All right, let's get this party back up again, and we will try take 2. There you are. All right. Try again. There we go. So game 2 between Division C East Hot Boys with a 1-0 lead versus Something Heroic. So a solo tank Tyrael coming out of Something Heroic, that is not something you see very much. Tyrael as the primary tank sometimes struggle to peel for his own team. I'll be interested to see how they run that. On the flip side of that, much more traditional out of Hot Boys, getting a Garrosh Sonya front line and a Hanzo Kael'Thas backline with the Malfurion. Blue team, Hot Boys, Refresher going on to the Garrosh. Rising Star is on, I can't tell from this far back, Hanzo. Coach Zach on to Sonya, Frost Absol on Kael'Thas, and Roya on Malfurion.
And on the right, we have Something Heroic with Terraspaz on Thrall, Silverhawk on Phoenix, Reykjavik on Lucio, Malazzo on Tyrael, and Eternity playing Li Ming.
So when you're playing a solo tank Tyrael, how do you have to change your play since he lacks the hard CC that so many main tanks do?
I think they're going to have to play really passive until level 10. Like, they don't have any CC except for Thrall's root, and it looks like Thrall's going to be in the off lane versus Sonya. So they're not going to have any way to peel for their backline. Now,
Maybe
Lucio can cause the disengage as well as Li Ming and Phoenix both having a teleport, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, just on paper, it's just so much harder to execute a solo tank Tyrael. So on paper, I give the advantage to Hot Boys, but it can be done, and it can be done effectively. Just difficult to do so.
It looks like the Lucio peeling actually working to stop the Garrosh from initiating.
Yeah, that was really well timed by, I don't know, Reykjavik, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I think it's right.
And you know, the other thing on the Tyrael though is if he eats all of Garrosh's flips, he can use his Eldruins to teleport away. So it's kind of a weird peel in that you're just eating the CC yourself and teleporting out of danger.
Yeah, they don't have the CC, but they do have a lot of mobility in their 4-man.
Yeah, their backline has a lot of mobility that would maybe lessen the load of needing to peel. Yeah, the teleport on the Phoenix, the Lucio's on his roller skates, teleporting Li Ming. Maybe she picks up Wave of Force to give them a little extra, you know, deterrent of the Garrosh. I'm going to say Garrosh like 3 different ways this whole game, by the way.
It looks like they may be going for another combo with the Purifier Salvo.
Now,
this time with perhaps Earthquake.
Yeah, my team and I run Earthquake Purification Salvo sometimes, and it's really effective when you hit it. It's a ton of damage.
Yeah. We used that combo in a game as well and finished Curse Hollow in under 10 minutes because of it.
Yeah, it's really brutal when you can hit it. Another interesting thing about Dragonshire from a caster observer standpoint is because of the way the objective is done, I think it's one of the hardest maps to observe on as well because there's so much going on. It's really easy to miss stuff. Oh, now Lucio might be in trouble. Excellent long-range stun by Kael'Thas there to make sure Lucio doesn't get away. Well played by Hot Boys. This might allow the early DK for Hot Boys.
With Phoenix having to use his teleport out early, he's going to have a lot of pressure on him in the mid lane.
However, top.
Looks like Wall was able to neutralize the top shrine.
Yep, and maybe with just enough time for Lucio to come back, Tyrael, of course, can pretty safely poke this out for a long while.
Definitely. Li Ming did also take their siege giants to put pressure on the lane while Hot Boys was controlling the objective.
It's not something you hear very often, is the murking Leeming.
Yeah. Well, with the way they changed the siege giants, like basically any ranged
anybody
assassin can take it.
Just a matter of how long it takes them to do it. In the top lane, though, Sonya does have some company up here. Something heroic, making sure they hold on to that top objective. Coach Zach unable to secure the Q. Phoenix walks away. Bottom lane, though, still definitely controlled by Hot Boys.
The Trinity and Reykjavik aren't going to be able to do much by themselves here into the Garrosh and all of the CC that they have to follow up on a throw.
Yeah, not just the CC, but the wave clear out of Kael'thas is significantly better than anything Lucio or Li Ming can throw out as well. A nice job by those two just to kind of hover behind the wall and pick up the soak there. Lucio might be in trouble. Nice boot by Reykjavik to keep himself out of danger there. And Hanzo going to pick up his own giant. So both teams just kind of settling in and waiting for this game to develop a little bit. Thrall is on his bruisers. Phoenix picking up the top lane and dueling Sonya. Phoenix will lose that if Sonya hits her Qs.
It's definitely a skill matchup, but it absolutely favors Sonya. Actually, she's going in on him. Yeah, he does have the warp to get away.
Yeah, you really got to stay at distance. You can't let that Sonya get up into him. Once again, Lucio death might allow Hot Boys to pick up early game DK. With Thrall on the bruisers, this is definitely an opportunity for them. Kael'thas will start to channel. Probably an interrupt coming out of Tyrael, but it is late. So early game Dragon Knight. Typically when you get the Dragon Knight this early, you're really focusing on towers and walls, maybe a well. You're not going to get too much more than that.
The wall in front of the bot fort is actually really weak because of the siege giants they captured. Eternity was the only one there to kind of weaken them or push them away.
Well, and furthermore, they're actually on the verge of 10s here, so if they get 10s, they could really shove into this fort with something heroic not really having a lot of answers.
Yeah, this is definitely a really good time for them to get the Dragon Knight. So it looks like we're seeing a lot of the standard heroic picks. Phoenix, Warlord's Challenge, Twilight Dream, Dragon Arrow, Wrath of the Berserker.
Yeah, and this fort certainly going down. There is just nothing that something heroic can do without their level 10s. Roya, if there's anything I want to know regarding what? I was just curious.
Sorry, I think you cut out for a second.
Oh, Roya's in our chat, and he said if there's anything I want to know, just ask. So I was asking him regarding what. Okay. So bottom fort's still standing. I'm a little surprised they didn't push that more. There is the toss on the Thrall, the root. There goes Phoenix. Kael'thas is really low, though, and it is Kael'thas traded out for both Lucio and Thrall. Heroics just achieved for something heroic. We do have Earthquake, we do have Purification Salvo, we do have Sound Barrier. Both Tyrael and Li Ming holding their... Oh, Pixar Strategy. Okay, thanks, Roya. There it is, Sanctification, and it is going to be Wave of Force. I like the Wave of Force pick. Gives them a little bit in the way of kind of disengage and displacement that they might be lacking otherwise out of the front line.
They're definitely positioned where they want to be poking at the enemy rather than engaging.
For sure.
Because, yeah, into the Garrosh's Taunt and the Wrath of the Berserker, Twilight Dream, that's a lot of pressure that can be put in a small area. So like what we saw when Thrall and Lucio got blown up by the Garrosh, it was a throw combo into the Twilight Dream and Taunt, and that's really what sealed their fate.
And on the flip side of this, if something heroic is going to make a run at this game, they're going to need to execute the Sanctification, Earthquake, Purification Salvo.
Definitely.
And of course, if you are running a Li Ming, you need to get kills to get value out of her trait. So if they can turn that Wombo into an early team fight kill, get Leeming her resets. That's what's going to win them a team fight there.
Hot Boys takes down the keep wall in the bot lane with the help of the bot bruiser camp, and it looks like Garrosh is going in deep to try to get the kill.
There goes the Sanctification, just to keep Tyrael up. Now, there's the two-man Twilight Dream. I think that interrupted what they were trying to do. Phoenix is running away, able to teleport. Thrall is in the top lane, so they can't do Earthquake Salvo if Thrall is playing with Sonya in the top lane.
That's kind of an issue with their draft. Their combo relies on their offlaner.
Right.
And Sonya's just been splitting this whole game.
For sure.
They have to send him to, like, the only ones who can really deal with them are either Phoenix or Thrall. So, and those are the two parts of their combo.
Now Garrosh is able to secure another DK for something heroic. They are most definitely in the driver's seat this game. Yeah, that's a really great observation. If you leave Sonya in the off lane, the best people to deal with that from something heroic are the people that you want together in these team fights. This bottom
If
keep...
they keep fighting 4v4, then they're going to lose the fights because they don't have their combo.
100%. And, you know, maybe the other candidate is, I guess, Tyrael you could theoretically send up there, but he'll lose, and then he'll be down Sanctification. So definitely some compositional situations for something heroic to overcome here, and this keep is not long for this game. Although Thrall does get Sonya in the top lane off screen here. I'm curious.
Have to use Earthquake for it.
Probably worth, but keep going down. Tyrael getting punted away. Thrall is going to stay in the top lane to pick up the soak. It's probably not a bad decision. There's not too much more something heroic is going to accomplish down here with Thrall or no Thrall. Tyrael does get flipped, stunned, rooted, stunned, taunted, killed. And there are two
Phoenix
men.
Went for the Purification Salvo and got taunted out of it, so it did go on short cooldown, but he wasn't able to use it to save Tyrael.
Yeah, and it's rough when you're running a Li Ming and not getting resets. She's just not the same hero if you're not getting her resets. Silverhawk might be in trouble here unless his teleport is up. Great dismount, though. I think Eternity threw a magic missile to dismount Refresher. So they're kind of... I don't really know how far Hot Boys can push this at this point in the game, but they are down here as a four-man, putting some pressure toward the core of something heroic.
They also just picked up level 16, but giving them a solid 2-level lead.
Yeah, I mean, 5 kills to 2 with a significant structural advantage is going to spell that 2-level deficit there for something heroic.
Something heroic take their top bruisers, so that'll give them a little bit of pressure to give them time to clear up bot lane.
Yes, Hot Boys here, they're going to send Sonya to clear out top while picking up their own bruisers, so that pressure top is very quickly going to swing the other direction. And unfortunately for something heroic, the best course of action for their down a full talent tier is to soak and kind of play a ring around the rosy as best you can to keep Hot Boys from getting another DK. And then you want to try to force that fight in this 16 to 18 range. That's the best chance you're going to get before 20s. There's the Earthquake. There's the Sank. This is the first time we've seen all of something heroic here. I didn't see Purification Salvo there, so a little bit of miscommunication because using the Earthquake and the Sanct, but not really going in on all of it. They didn't seem like they were quite on the same page there.
Yeah, it seemed like a panic disengage, and Garrosh gets the Thrall, and he's gone instantly.
I mean, with Sound Barrier, Earthquake, and Sanct down, that's a lot of tools down for something heroic, and they probably should have disengaged even harder than they did at that point. And now they're posturing core. Top fort of something heroic is going to go down to the Mercs as well. Not that that's important at this point. They are pushing in, waiting for the spell armor of the Bruisers. Very intelligent play out of Hot Boys here.
Yeah, they might just be able to take the core right here. not actually care about Dragon Knight at all.
And with
Phoenix
Phoenix
gets thrown
down,
in.
that is almost certainly, barring some miracle defense, this is almost going to certainly be game 2 going to Hot Boys in very commanding fashion. The stats, or the team's records before, certainly implied that this was a excuse me. The team's record certainly implied that that was a fight or a series that Hot Boys should have won, and they left no doubt, really commanding games in both games 1 and games 2. Anything jump out at you at the stats before we close it out?
Stats. Sony was actually tanking more than Garrosh, which I guess kind of makes sense with their role, but other than that, no. Like, they just played really, really well. They knew what they were doing, and they executed really, just really precisely.
Yeah, and you know, it would have been interesting to see how that draft went down. But the comp that Something Heroic put out there was there's a really difficult thing to try to execute how it was set up, especially into what Hot Boys had. So I really think they kind of put themselves at a disadvantage and left themselves just a, a lower room for error in regards to how they have to execute that comp.
Yeah, I would expect they likely got choked out of the
Out
tank
of the
and off
tank.
lane.
Yeah, that would make
Yeah,
sense.
because otherwise, I don't see why you wouldn't pick up someone with a little bit more control than Tyrael.
All right, so congratulations to Hot Boys on their 2-0 domination over Something Heroic. For our second game, we're going to go to Division D East. It is